Alright guys, real quick I wanted to show you a couple inverse trig examples because there's going to be one question with inverse trig where instead of finding a side length you have to find the angle, which you should have done in geometry, but just in case you missed that part of geometry, I wanted to shoot you a little review of how to do these questions. So if we take a look at number 1 right here, we can see that the two sides that we have compared to the angle that we want to find are the opposite side and then the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So then we write how we always wrote trig functions, except this time it's going to say the sine of x because we don't know that angle, and then we put the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Okay, so because x is stuck in here, we have to get x out. The way to undo sine is to use something called the inverse sine. So we go sine inverse of both sides, and then sine inverse cancels with just the normal sine, and we get x is equal to the inverse sine of 24 over 29. How to type this into your calculator: you pull up your calculator and you would go second sine, and then you go 24 divided by 29, click enter, and 55.852. So x is equal to 55.852 degrees. Because it's an angle, there's always going to be a unit here. So then let's take a look at the next one. Next one, we have the adjacent side and we have the hypotenuse. So this one is cosine. So it's the cosine of the angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And then we do the same thing. We take the inverse cosine of both sides. So inverse cosine, inverse cosine. And you don't have to write this step, guys. You can just go from the first step to this. X is equal to the inverse cosine of 9 over 20. Type this into our calculator. So second cosine of 9 divided by 20, 63.256 degrees. So x equals 63.256 degrees. Alright, so that was a sine example. Cosine example, let's see what we got next. We got tangent, right? So opposite and adjacent, that's tan. So then we say the tan of x is equal to opposite, which is 17 over 11. And then we can say x is equal to the inverse tangent of 17 over 11. Plug that into our calculator real fast. Oops, sorry. Inverse tan, 17 over 11. 57.095, so x is equal to 57.095 degrees. And then the last one, looks like we have opposite and adjacent again. So then it's another tan, so tan of x is equal to opposite over adjacent, and then we go x is equal to the inverse tangent of opposite over adjacent, and so that's going to give us second inverse tan. It was 12 over 29, 22.479, so x equals 22.479 degrees. And that's just a quick refresher on how to do inverse trig. As always, come ask me questions if you have them, guys.